Four things you can do to be successful. Number one, you want to kill demons, right? What does it mean? It means you don't have things that haunt you. Now, isn't it amazing how many people are out there and every single day they have something that's a crisis in their life? And I don't know why it is. Maybe it's mental illness, it's something that's at work in people's lives, and they're just ill at ease. Everything's a problem. It's continually non-stop problems. It's crazy, okay? Like, people are addicted to things, they're angry at things, they're freaking out about something all the time, and it's just one problem after another. Don't be that person. If you want to be successful in life, you have to let those things go. You have to get to the point in life where you understand that you're not going to manufacture some kind of a disaster every single day and then expect that other people are going to somehow accommodate that. That's just the truth, okay? I know there's a time in my life when I felt very, very down about a lot of things. And some of that was legitimate things that were depressing to me. And maybe some of that was just something I was going through in my head at that time. Sometimes you can be a bit sick or something, and then, something happens, and maybe a little bit of it is just, the way your brain works, right? Because we are mechanical creatures in a sense. But there's also this realization, I can't do this. I have to stop it. Like, life goes on. People don't people don't care. And you've got to be an advocate for yourself. You've got to get to the point where you're going to say, I'm going to be okay. And I might not feel okay. Like, it is what it is, though. It's fine, right? You're just going to move on. Don't have demons in your life. Don't be consumed with addictions and depressive episodes and all of those things. And maybe you're going to feel bad sometimes. Yeah, sure. Human experience, okay? But you got to move on. You got to move past those things, and at least intellectually understand you don't have any other option. Like, you're either going to have a life that's better and you don't act like it sucks all the time, or you're going to um you know have a life that sucks all the time, and that's your identity, right? So there's that. Now, the next thing is stop caring so much, okay? And it's funny because it seems like, without fail, when you stop caring so much about things, when you stop thinking, am I going to get what I want out of this? When you stop thinking about the end result, when you stop thinking about how disappointed you are with what didn't happen and how worried you are about what's going to happen, then you free up your mind so that you can start just being present in the moment. And when you do that, suddenly you're able to have a more successful lifestyle because you aren't so fixated on things beyond your control. And it's a really crazy thing, but I found it to be true that when you stop caring so much, you actually start doing better in truth. And then, ironically, because you've let it go, you actually find you're in better possession of your faculties than you were before. Number three, swim upstream. And by that, I mean, don't do the things that everyone tells you that you need to do to be successful or to be happy. Live on a basis of your own conclusions, rational conclusions. Think things through, figure out what your position is on something, and then be true to yourself. Don't be that person that's always looking at other people and doing what they think you ought to do. Don't be chasing things. Just be indifferent enough to let go of everybody else and then say, where do I stand on this? And you might find that the things most people will tell you you need to do, the things that they will inspire you to get into, those things are quite often not going to be positive things in your life. Like, chasing a career. Okay, well, you can chase a career all you want, and then at the end of the road, you're going to realize that it doesn't matter how much salary you make if all the money you ever earn is going into a bigger house and a newer car and maintaining a lifestyle of keeping up with the Joneses and all of that. You'd be better off if you made very little, but you actually invested it in something of value. So there's going to always be people that say, okay, here's what you got to do to move up. Here's what you got to do to level up. And then you're going to be happier when you get to that next level. But then when you get to that next level, there's another level of grind that's going to consume more of your mind, more of your time, more of your strength, more of your soul. You got to let go of some of that. Now, finally, the last thing I'm going to end with is tiny improvements. And I'll use this as a simple example. Like, I was going to make a video, and then I realized that my Logitech software updated, and then the sound doesn't sound quite right, and I was messing around with it. Well, I don't know if it's even right now, but you know what? It's better than it was. And so, I fixed something, make it a little bit better. Now, am I, superstar at this? No. But I put a little bit of effort in to make a tiny improvement. Okay. So that's what you got to do. You've got to find ways to make tiny improvements in your life, in your behaviors, in the things you allow into your body, into your mind. And maybe it's that you decide you're going to get a little bit more exercise now than you did last week. Maybe it's that you're going to give up a little bit of some kind of junk food or something to make you more healthy. Maybe it's that you're going to give up a little bit of the water cooler banter that's hateful or negative about other coworkers or something like that. You let go of a little bit of negativity, or you develop just a tiny bit of skill. You want to start reading a book. So what do? Okay, you read one page today and one page tomorrow. Is that going to get you through the 1,000 page novel? Well, not very fast. All right. But even if all you're doing is reading one page a day, you're still going to wind up getting through at least a 1,000 page novel in 3 years, right? That's more than you would if you didn't read the one page a day. So you do something, but then when you actually do it's a little bit of tiny improvement, then quite often you go further than you actually thought you were going to. You wind up achieving more than you really intended to. And you also build a little bit of a routine. So you're actually doing better than what you commit to doing, because once you actually start, then you realize, okay, I don't need to just read one page a day. I could read 2 or 3 or 4. You know what? I'm just going to sit here and read a whole chapter. It's kind of how it goes. But you start by making tiny, small improvements in your life, and that's a lot more important than big overhauls. So don't think that you need to get there overnight, whatever it might be. You don't have to dramatically change your life and then be something you're not overnight. Just do some little things, something meaningful that will give you a sense of, yeah, I did something right now, something that maybe I wouldn't have otherwise done, because I decided that I wanted to I wanted to try to be a little bit more than what I was yesterday. And there's a lot to be said for how much we don't do, because we have this sense that if I don't do something epic and huge and become a totally different person overnight, then there's no point in doing it at all. If I don't invest a bunch of money and then be sitting there on a yacht somewhere enjoying my retirement, then why would I bother investing just a little bit here and there? Well, little things do add up. So remember, little things add up. Don't believe everything everybody tells you. Think for yourself. Don't feel like you have to chase things. Don't care too much about what happens. Kind of let it go, and then that's going to free you up to be a little bit more focused on now instead of focused on what if, and that will help you to be ultimately probably better than you would have been otherwise. Stop caring so that you can achieve more, actually. And then just give up the demons. And that's the biggest one. That don't be that person that's always living in the shadow of something that is hateful or frightening or terrible in your life. You've got to let it go. And if you can't let it go, then nothing else is going to really fall into place. It's going to always be something else that's there to haunt you You cannot fight the demons that are outside you if you cannot figure out how to surrender and let go of those demons that are inside. That's the biggest thing. And that's not what we want to hear. It's not because we have these feelings, we have these emotions, we're mortal beings. We have these overwhelming feelings of, fear and anger and all these things that come in, and they're like mobs of demons that just pour in over the walls, and it's awful hard. But you have to get through that and say, okay, I'm done. I'm at that point where I'm going to give up something, and the thing I'm going to give up is the spiritual enemies that are kind of living within me, and I'm allowing them to be. And here's something else that I will talk about, because I think it's relevant, I think it's important. And that is, if you let something bad go in your life, don't replace it with something bad. And we have this tendency, we fight against things, or we eventually give up things that aren't good in our lives, and then we get rid of them, like we're free, right, of something. And then what happens? We jump back in, and then something else comes along, and no sooner do we create these clean tabernacles of the soul, if you will, we surrender something problematic in our lives, then we just find another thing to replace it with. We fill that space, because we can't have empty space. It's like when you're talking and you want to say um or or use some other kind of a filler word, because you're not comfortable with empty pause. And yet, empty space is not intrinsically bad. It's okay to have empty space. It's okay to have a period of time in your life when you don't have a relationship. It's okay to have a period of your life when you don't necessarily know what is going to come next. It's okay to pause because you don't have anything to say at this moment. It's okay to leave room for things that are quality by not filling every single space just because you feel like you have to. And that's where we're going to end. It's just a few inspirational thoughts kind of on my mind today. And I think it's real important to always start by working on yourself, and get to a place where you're okay, okay in life. You got to get to a place where you're not afraid anymore, because being afraid doesn't lead to good places. It never will. And we live in fear. We have these things that they nag at us, and we wind up being in chains, spiritual chains. And then we wonder, why does that spill over into our personal relationships, and into our work we do, and even into whether we're able to have fun and enjoy our pastimes in life. But General Douglas MacArthur, 1962, at West Point, I believe, he made a speech that was very moving to me. And he said, build courage when courage seems to fail, create hope when there seems to be little cause for it, renew faith when it becomes forlorn, something to that effect. And what I realized at a dark place in my life was, what he said was build courage. He said renew faith. He said create hope. They were all action words. They weren't feel hopeful. They weren't feel courageous. They weren't, feel the sense of faith, like, clouds parting and, the light of the heavens pouring through or something. It wasn't like that. It was, you do these things, you be faithful, you create hope for others, you be courageous when you don't feel courageous, you do those hard things, you do those things. Happiness is a choice, and that's something we don't want to hear, but it's the truth. Happiness is a choice. Happiness is when you get so sick of the demons that haunt you that you decide today's the day to allow joy into your life. And once you do that, really kind of is like flipping a switch. Life gets a lot better. You stop making excuses for yourself, and sometimes things aren't easy. Sometimes they aren't what you want, but you can move on. You realize that you don't have to feel okay to be okay. And it's like like swimming, you know. It's hard to swim when you don't know how to swim. And we're not fish, so you can only hold your water under you hold your breath underwater for so long. Um, and yet, if you swim enough, swimming can become something that you're comfortable with, maybe even good at, because you actually are doing it. You know, that's what it is. It's you have to begin. You got to begin. You know, like I love something Asmongold said once in a video that he made about streaming on YouTube and Twitch and that kind of thing. And he said, you know what you have to do if you want to be a successful YouTuber or Twitch streamer or something, you got to turn the camera on. Like that's it. And that spoke to me because it's so true. Like, okay, like there's a lot of things that maybe you're not. There's a lot of things you don't know how to do. And yeah, maybe one day you get good at something, but you can't ever get good if you don't begin. Like you got to start. And it's the same thing with our attitudes about our own lives. At some point, you got to stop making excuses for yourself. You've got to stop living in bondage to your personal demons. You have to stop nursing them. And we do that so much. We have this attitude of, I don't, no, I don't want to make excuses for myself. I don't want to be, the wrong kind of a person. I don't want to, go through my life and never change, never grow, never move past what I was before. I want to be, I want to make the right decisions. But then I also don't want to 100%, close the door on my old self. I still want to be able to make excuses. I still want to be able to explain why what happened to me wasn't really completely my fault or I couldn't really control it. I don't want to get to the point where I'm hardcore enough to actually 100% say, I'm done being what I was before. We don't want to truly give it up. We want to kind of sort of say, yeah, I want to change. I want to lose weight and get fit, but I mean, it's not like I'm going to change my diet today, It's not like I'm going to start exercising right now, it's that kind of an attitude. I want to be zen and peaceful and, kumbaya and passing the love around, but I still want to be able to have that water cooler BS talk, at somebody's expense. I still want to be a gossiper. I still want to be able to, backstab people once in a while when they really deserve it, right? So, okay, then you don't really want to be the right kind of person. I get it. And maybe you don't. That's okay. There's no such thing as a bad person, but there is such a thing as consequences. And if you live a life that makes you miserable, then you just have to understand. Either you want to be miserable and then you're going to live your life. The rest of your life will be miserable. Or you can choose a different path if you get sick enough of it that you want a different path. But most people, they don't. Most people don't get sick of it. Most people say they want change, but they don't really want change. They don't really want to do any real hard work. They just want to be what their nature compels them to be, and then just kind of complain about it. Wish they had a different set of luck. Somebody once told me something. It was at work. There's this guy. He said something. I don't know what we were talking about, but I know I said, well, you can't always get what you want in life. And it was just a casual remark for me. That's what I said to him. And I remember he looked at me. I was young at that time. Like I was probably like 18. I don't know. But he said, we always get what we want. We get exactly what we want. We have exactly what we want. Because if we wanted something different, we would have done something different. And in that moment, something clicked, and I realized he was right. It's true. Like we got what we wanted because we've lived our whole life to get to where we are. So you can't make all the choices in your life and then be where you are and then act like you're a victim, because that's not fair. That's not true. Truth is, if you wanted something different, then you'd act different. And if you got what you wanted because you got the sum of all your choices, all your actions, then why the heck are you complaining about it? Why are you acting like you're a victim when you're the one who did it to yourself? And that's true for all of us. That's true to me. I'm preaching to myself here, because that's how it is. We're the victims of ourselves, and then we say we're victims and we hate whatever it is that made us a victim. And the truth is, it's us. So what happens if you victimize yourself and then you hate yourself for victimizing yourself, and then you continue to victimize yourself? Then what kind of self-loathing is that? And what is that going to do to you if you have that attitude over the course of a lifetime? You're hating yourself because you don't have the personal integrity necessary to actually do what you personally believe is right. Not what somebody else believes is right, but what you actually believe is right for yourself. You can't even do that. These are things to think about. Things to think about. Sometimes you just got to have a conference hour with yourself. Conference hour with no sure answers, but also no excuses. Maybe you think about life while you're fishing in ESO, or go for a long walk, or hike up a hill somewhere. I'll close with one more thought. It's a good one. When you think about things, character flaws, it's easy to envision somebody else. It's easy to look at somebody else and say, oh, look at that, sinner over there. Look at that person that doesn't have it together. Look at that person, like they're worse than I am, right? Like we do this. Don't do that. Because everybody else has to deal with the consequences of their actions. That is absolutely enough judgment right there, without them having you play God by weighing in on all the things that they've failed at. So when you think about the opportunities to grow and be better, point that at you. Point that at yourself and ask yourself, am I living up to my own vision of the person I want to be? Do I have peace in my life? And if the answer is no, then, get to work on it. Don't beat yourself up about it. Just get to work on it. Move on. And the simplest thing you can do is just decide that, you know what, today, rest of today, going to have a good day, all right? Because you're not assured anything more than right now. We all might be dead tomorrow, whether we have 50 years or 5 days. Your life's going to be better if you decide that for the rest of today, for right now, you're going to enjoy your life. Not worried about tomorrow. Tomorrow will come. We'll deal with it, if we're around to deal with it. But for today, we're going to give thanks for the life we have. It's just that simple. Be happy. Understand that whether it's clear to you or not, the universe is unfolding the way it should. Life's okay. It's going to be okay. And when we're all dust and life's over, you know what? There's going to be other people having fun. There's going to be, I don't know, Elder Scrolls 8 or something's going to come out, and there's going to be new kids playing it. And I'll be buried in a cemetery somewhere, just like these NPC zombies in this game. That's all right. Because when I'm gone, somebody else is going to be enjoying life. That gives me hope. That gives me a reason to be glad for the life I have, because it means I have something to pass on. I have something to share, something to celebrate with other people. When you realize that you're a steward of something greater than yourself, that helps a lot with those times when you don't feel it, when you feel bad. Because then you realize, well, you know what? Yeah, maybe I feel like life sucks. Maybe life is terrible for me. Maybe it is. But it's not terrible for everybody. So there's that. You try to make somebody's day a little better. Helps you be a little better too. And you might find that if you pretend to have a good day all the time, after a while, you actually do. That's a truism. If you pretend to be the right kind of a person long enough, it might rub off on you. You'll actually be a better person without even realizing it. One day, the things that were hard at the beginning just start to come natural. You realize, you know what? The crazy thing is, I never thought that that was going to be something that I could really truly be. I didn't think I could actually really be that. I just, fake it till you make it. And one day, you actually make it. A lot further than you ever thought you would, anyway. And then you can tell other people when they're not feeling it. You can say, you know what? I don't know what you're going through. And my experience is not the same as anyone else's experience. So I can't tell someone, okay, I know how to get you to the other side. No, you got to go on your own quest, your own journey. But what I can tell you is that I've had low points in my life, and I've faced some things I didn't think I was going to be able to make it through. And I did. So you probably can too, I'd imagine. There's a Dungeons and Dragons movie that just came out. It's a good movie, by the way. But this this dude in the movie, he's supposed to be helping out by wearing this helmet, and he has to attune to the helmet. And the problem is the helmet rejects him because he doesn't have what it takes. And in the end, he only is able to attune to it at the very end when it really counts on, when everything's counting on him and everybody's life is on the line. Then finally, at that last moment, that's when he realizes he has no choice. He has to succeed somehow. And that's when he finds it in himself to stop doubting himself, to stop downplaying himself, to stop saying what he can't do, to actually say, you know what, I have to do this. I am going to do this. I am doing it now. And there is no fail anymore. And it's that way with us too. Sometimes you have to say, I'm done. I am done with the person I used to be. I am done with the attitudes I used to have. And life is far too short for us to afford having any more bad days in it. No more bad days. Let them all be good ones. Good days. Good days. Positive vibes. Inspiring things. Set your mind on that. Well, that's enough. That's enough. Talking about life while I run around aimlessly in ESO, gathering random items, which is kind of therapeutic. It's kind of that way in real life, too. I like to just walk around, hike somewhere, wander around the neighborhood, whatever it is. Just like low-level activity. It's good. It's good for your mind. It keeps you thinking about things, and it's more stimulating than staring at the wall. But it's also not extremely demanding. I think that's something that's nice about grinding in an ESO kind of game or something. Just gives you a chance to kind of just chill and think about things. So, till next time, glory to the Raccoon Republic. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a really, really wonderful day. Thank you so much, and goodbye.